Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand with your host, Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.
And welcome to Pattaya, welcome to Thailand, and welcome to another podcast. And today in the studio, wow, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a hot one. It could get even a little bit of bumpy on the road because Bobby, our controller at the end there, is joining us today in heart, soul, and voice.
Yeah, I'm crawling out of my snail shell here and going to join the crew.
Good. Nice to have you on board today. Of course, you're going to be basically, I'm really a passenger today because, you know, as Matthew's here, welcome to the show again, Matthew.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here again. I mean, it's great to get together with you guys. And also for me today, it's going to be like a history lesson. And the Mano cover started to rock and roll and twist. And the way they say everything, it's just a Mano cover coming off, but the way he, with his voice, it was like, in the dead of the night, the Mano cover turned. It's all like that through the film. It's a brilliant film.
What's the name of that film?
The film, the original, is called The War of the Worlds.
Oh, I remember that.
The
album.
That's
a classic.
Orson G. Wells, yeah? Is it Bobby?
Yeah, Orson G. Wells.
Yeah, so the actual album itself is the story of the War of the Worlds from start to finish. And like you said, there's a lot of friends on the way have from different things.
Far too many.
Yeah.
You know, and unlike this album, I made A Wing and a Prayer, suitable title, A Wing and a Prayer. And I think there's 9 people on there deceased, and a lot of them with substance abuse. Not all, but some.
It's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame when it becomes so bad that it's an addiction and takes you to another dimension, and you're not in control of yourself.
But the good news is that I see so many of the musicians have really that are still around, like Crosby and my friend Bobby Weir and all those guys. See, they're really healthy now and really doing well. And I got to say, first and foremost, that I never saw Bobby doing really horrible things like some of the other people were doing. You know, so
I remember. Quote me if I'm wrong, guys, because I'm only going off what I seen. And I remember Bobby saying on the film that I seen on the road one on the film that Garcia,
Bobby Weir.
Yeah, Bobby Weir was giving Garcia the amount that he was supposed to give him each day, and he begged him for more each day, and Bobby said no, didn't he? In the film, if you watch that, which I thought was wow, heavy.
Well, can I tell one story about?
You go for it. Tell
my doctor friend.
Absolutely.
Well,
this is your crib. Okay. This is your crib.
Okay. Well, I don't think many people know about this, but I was dating a woman who is now an MD, and so we got intimately acquainted, and she told me that Jerry would give her large amounts of money and put on an airplane, and she'd go back all over the United States and get different amounts of substances and then bring it back. And when you showed up at Jerry's dressing room, nobody got passed into his dressing room. Steve Parrish would be sitting outside keeping everybody out, but she would be allowed in. And but I heard everything firsthand from her, what he'd gone through. And I'm not going to go into all that stuff because it's too personal.
Sure.
But, I know exactly what was going on. And it's, because I had such reverence for the man. And I had nothing but wonderful things to say about Jerry.
He's brilliant. I mean, I've watched some videos on the man, and I just think he's brilliant. I mean, it's a great sound, and of course, for me, not knowing about the Grateful Dead before, of course, and through Bobby, I've watched a few things and documentaries and read a few things.
But I'm talking about
what a life.
I'm talking about as a human being.
Yeah.
Jerry was a wonderful man, and from what I knew of him, and so musically, that's a whole nother situation, but on a one-to-one, he was a great guy.
The personal side is probably the side that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, and one of the things that he always used to tell his fans, because as you know, or maybe you don't know, the Grateful Dead have a cult following. It's almost like a
we were saying
Deadheads.
Today. Yeah, we were saying today, yeah.
And Jerry used to always say, look, I'm not any kind of guru or anything. I just play guitar. And it made him very uncomfortable to be in that role of, people looking up to him like he was some kind of
Messiah.
Yeah, Messiah.
Well, they did
yeah.
because I mean Garcia and Weir, they were in an interview, and I remember them, and they said the guy said, what were you thinking about? What, when you're on the road and you're doing this and getting on your way, and he went, we weren't thinking, we were just doing what we were doing, and that's playing music and having a good time.
Yeah, so that's there's a whole. I talked to Bobby about this the other day. A lot of people don't realize. I think there are more books written about the Grateful Dead than any band in history, more than what was written about the Beatles or the Stones, because of the whole phenomena of the Deadheads and all the different things that happened. It wasn't just the band in and of itself.
It was the phenomenon and the culture and everything around it.
Yeah.
And the band was just part of it. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, sure.
Is that the right way to put it, Bobby?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to go?
Yeah, Matthew, you were talking about the influence the Grateful Dead had on all their fans. What was it like seeing all the young people out kind of worshiping the Dead? And you'd go on tour with them a lot. And you go on tour with Kingfish and Rat Dog, but you'd witness a lot of the Deadheads showing up year after year. And what was that like for you?
Well, I've got. I can share one particular experience that just came to. I just it was brought to my attention. But I saw a lot of fans. But this one, a couple of young girls were at Harvard and getting their PhDs at Harvard, and they dropped out of Harvard to follow the Dead around, and then 10 years later, you run into them at these concerts, and they're looking not,
So good.
So good. That I have to say that would make me really sad when I'd see that. But having said that, there are other people that that it's just been very uplifting for them, and they never got into that part of it. So there's a dark side and there's a light side. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Well, there's always falls and against in everything, of course, and ups and downs and everything. But I mean, when you start to, where did it sort of like, when the Grateful Dead did their thing? You'll have to fill me in because I don't know this, Bobby. Yeah, how did the Grateful Dead become what they became? How did they become followed like they're followed today?
I'm not sure if I...
No. Can I ask that, Bobby?
Maybe Bobby can answer
I don't
that.
think anybody really knows the answer to that. It's kind of... their growth has happened in stages, know. There was the psychedelic explosion that was happening in the 60s, and that had its own epoch of growth. And then we have the 70s and the 80s and 90s, and there's all these different stages of growth. It's still exploding. It's exploding.
I see videos now of people who go to the Dead concerts and that, and their parents, yeah, and then suddenly you see the baby who's probably 4 or 5, and they've got the Grateful Dead shirt on, and and it's good. It's like a family thing, yeah.
Well, the interesting thing about the Grateful Dead, or one of the many interesting things about the Grateful Dead, is that they've got fans of all ages, all the way up to 80 people in their 80s, all the way down to young teenagers, today. So it's a full spectrum of fans, So it's pretty amazing, everybody from lawyers to doctors to hippies to gypsies, you name it. You've got every kind of.
It's just like it's
phenomena.
Yeah, it's like a connection, isn't it? It's just what people feel. They feel connected to the band itself.
And there's many reasons for that connection. It's music, of course, but there's also the L.
Yeah,
the mysterious L that is connecting everyone.
I get that.
But I think that's one of the primary things, because a lot of people, if they went to the concerts, if the Dead weren't sounding that good, they take a little bit of some psychotropic substance, and then
psychotropic. I like that word.
Yeah, and then they would get into the groove. And I must admit, the best time I ever had with the Grateful Dead was at the Avalon Ballroom, and I had taken some magic mushrooms or some psilocybin or something, and it was just a magical night, And so, when they were, it's like they talk about themselves. When they're on, they were really on. And when they're off, they were off. It's like every band, but particularly with the Grateful Dead, because they never planned anything. They just went with whatever's going on, and sometimes it worked. Sometimes they fall on their face, but when they were on, it really cooked. And Jerry was almost like some kind of shaman, the way he'd orchestrate and control the band. Him and Bobby. Bobby was the kind of the sex symbol of the band, and Jerry was the.
You got to have one of those in the band. You do know that.
Yeah,
you got to have one of those in the band.
Yeah.
Well, he did, didn't he? I mean, he was there in his tight T-shirt and his cut-off jeans.
Well, he
was giving it some.
He's a good-looking guy, and he's charming, and he's eloquent, and he's Anyway,
he was the pin-up man of the front of the band, I would say, yes, and the rest were the
you could say that,
the pin-up of those days. Hey, Bobby, what do you reckon? Where are we going with that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rock Scully a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Let's drop into Rock's.
Drop the rock onto rock.
the
The rock on Scully. Who is? Come on, then, for you guys to tell me, who is Rock Scully?
Rock Scully was he was the Grateful Dead manager, road manager. He also managed Kingfish, got a record deal, and he was involved in a lot of nefarious activities, which was true of just about everybody that the Grateful Dead ever had, in management. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that because it'd be therapeutic for me to talk about it. So
This really is about therapy, isn't it?
This is it,
I mean,
mate.
this is my one opportunity to be able to vent because
Welcome to Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave, when I was very graciously living at Bobby Weir's house when I was pretty destitute and didn't have a lot of money, we weren't getting any of our Kingfish royalties, and it turned out that somebody from the Grateful Dead office was siphoning off the funds, and I never found out exactly who. And so I hired an attorney, and he took it on a contingency basis, and he had it absolutely proven without any shadow of a doubt, and it was ready to go to court. And I got, and I ended up dropping the law case because we were starting the band Bobby and the Midnights, and I didn't want to taint it with that. But anyway, while it was still pending, I got these threatening phone calls up at Weir's house. I mean, people were threatening my life. And that's normally kind of gets me riled up, my Irish side. And I would, I wasn't afraid of that, but I found it intriguing that somebody was actually, because what would have happened is it's a federal offense when you mess with ASCAP and BMI royalties. Somebody would have gone to jail, and I don't know who it was.
But who was calling you up? I mean, for what reason?
There was they didn't identify themselves. It was a man, and they said, if you keep messing around with this, we're going to have you offed. And I don't remember the exact wording they used, but that's was the gist of it. But, and I've talked to the women in the office who are wonderful, Janet, and I don't think Barney Parker's long since gone. But anyway, there was some wonderful ladies working in the office, and I ran it by them, and they said, well, we don't, they haven't, anyway, I don't want to say anything more about that.
But you at that stage, you were just about to take legal action and go for it, and then suddenly you came up with the other band, and you thought, well, okay, I've got to drop this and put it to bed and carry on with the new band, because otherwise it's going to cross over and not give us a good start. Yeah. Is that the way of thinking?
Yeah. And then actually it was kind of ironic because I ended up getting fired from Bobby the Midnights anyway, but not by Bobby Weir, but by the other guitar player, Bobby Cochran. And that was fine. I didn't, it was not really, I didn't really fit into that band because it was more jazz with Cobham and Alphonse Townsend. Great honor to play with them.
It just reminds me of the guy that was, I don't know if you've seen it, Bob, but the guy that was at with Clyde Davis at the CBS, and he was just putting in all these expenses and all these bills that didn't exist. I mean, millions and millions and millions and millions. Yeah. And if you remember, they fired him, didn't they? They fired Davis, and then there was a big uproar about it. But it happens all the time. Yeah. And of course, it was happening then, and it's happening now. But it's just something that, like you say, the record labels, they're the big boys. So it's I mean, everybody knows pretty much about how that works in the record industry. In the record industry, is there a thing is there a place in the Grateful Dead where somebody spotted you and said, okay, this is what we're going to do, or was it just a progression? I don't know. I mean, like I'm only thinking of this in my head. That Clive Davis was at a festival. A lady came on the stage. He blasted away. He signed her on the spot, and that was Janis Joplin. Yeah, did that sort of happen with the Dead?
I can't answer. I don't know really what you're getting at.
Well, I'm trying to get like Davis spotted Janis Joplin at a festival I see. Signed her. Did that happen with the Grateful Dead? Did somebody see you and sign them?
I don't know because I wasn't with the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
I have no idea. With Kingfish,
Kingfish?
We had CBS interested, and they wanted to sign us. And I found that this after the fact, they wanted to pay a lot of money, but we ended up going with the United Artists, which was a mistake. And but that's the record industry. So, but anyway, I'm happy for all of it because it was a great experience, and I learned a lot. And
That's the thing, is it? I mean, no money can buy the memories that you've got.
yeah, and the camaraderie you have with the guys,
With the friends.
Yeah, so that's what makes it happen.
What about the? I've got on here that you've put down for me, Bobby. GD merchandise.
Grateful Dead merchandise.
Oh, that's
Mouse and Kelly.
well. It's not just Mouse and Kelly. It's
Kid Candelario.
well. I don't. This is kind of a dicey area, so I don't want to get too much into it. I will. You probably should have somebody that's actually from like Mouse and Kelly. You should interview somebody like them. But all what I know is that some of the people that were doing the tie-dye T-shirts and all the Grateful Dead stuff and posters and stuff didn't get compensated properly, and that's too bad. Now maybe that's been rectified because I shouldn't really be talking about too much about this because I've been away for so long. I've been gone for 20 years out of America. But I do know that I've had people come to me and complain that were friends of mine doing the merchandising. They said, because the Grateful Dead is all about, family and love and trying to, togetherness and trying to tribal kind of thing. And so to have that happen to the people that were supporting
The
them,
heart of them, supporting them, But that's just not the Dead. That's every band out there.
But that was people actually in the Grateful Dead organization.
Well, that's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
not going to say any names, but
no. But
there's people.
Things
That's
like
unfortunate.
things like that shouldn't happen. But
they shouldn't happen, and those kind of things make me angry because those people they deserve to have gotten what they didn't get. That's all I have to say about that.
we had Bob Hughes in there on Monday, didn't we? When was it?
He was great.
On Friday, wasn't it?
No, the girls were on Friday.
Yeah.
Bob was Monday.
Monday, yeah. Bob, and he was telling us when we was talking.
Bob was Thursday.
Bob was Thursday. Sorry, yeah, we got to think what days it is. We was talking back in the day when you were saying about the New Orleans, wasn't it? Yeah. And Bob was saying the same thing. I was talking to Bob about New Orleans and talking about yourself and the harp and that. And he was saying he would have given anything to be in your shoes just to see what you've seen. Well, I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I feel...
Sorry to take you back there.
No, that's fine.
I like that. I like it.
That's a good place to go because that was one of the most amazing times in my life. Even though I didn't have monetarily, I was broke, but it was the experience. You couldn't. There's no way you could get that any other way. To be in the heart of the French Quarter and on the Chitlin Circuit. I mean, my God.
I've since read up on different things, and since you've been on this show, believe me, and no disrespect to you whatsoever, that part of your life intrigues me so much because walking into one of those clubs with those guys playing, you're the only white guy in there, the sweat in there, the smell in there, and the sound of the music coming out of there. It must have been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, it was magical, and those memories will stay with me always. And there's a feel about New Orleans that's intangible. With all the wrought iron balconies and the foliage and just look at the history of New Orleans.
The history and the culture and the architecture. I mean, it's brilliant. The big steamboats that used to be sort of down there. I can imagine Mississippi. Yeah. I mean, I also imagine. When I started talking, when you're talking to somebody like yourself, and then you started talking about New Orleans and that. Of course, as you're talking, we're having a conversation, but in the back of your head, you're painting all these pictures of all these clubs and all these people playing their instruments and sitting on these boats and doing things, and I can't even touch on it, how exciting it feels.
Well, for me, I mean, like having one of my heroes, Fats Domino, playing next door and hearing his piano coming out of the doorway. That was...
that's just when somebody just says that, oh yeah, I was playing this and Fats Domino was next to me. I mean, that's just like nuts, isn't it? Huh?
Matthew,
Blueberry Hill.
That's right.
I found my thrills. Yes, on Blueberry.
When all that was going down, did you really know, like as a young, you're 22, 23 years old, did you kind of know that this is going down. I'm in a zone right now in New Orleans, and there's all these cats here. Did you kind of vibe it out? Were you kind of like, wow, this is kind of a heavy place?
Sort of like, did you know what was happening? Is that what you
in heavy place in
a musical way, in a cultural way?
Absolutely. I mean, you can't help but notice it because you're surrounded by it. Just walking down the street, because I lived right in the heart. Lived in a building that was built pre-Civil War, and so I'd walk through. Every day I'd walk through walk back. I think I told you before, along the Mississippi and through the French Quarter. So yeah, it oozes. You can just feel
it's sticky. It's sticky down there.
Yeah, sticky.
But it was oozing talent, though, wasn't it?
Oozing talent.
Oozing talent.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a word that I really love when somebody says that. Oozing talent. And New Orleans in them days was definitely oozing talent. I would have given anything, Matthew, to be there just to see it. I mean, it's just phenomenal to think of what was happening at the time. To you, I would imagine that, monetary terms, you didn't have the money and you were trying to survive and you was playing with these guys. I get all that. And sometimes we don't realise what's happening until a few years later and you step back and go, damn, was that really me? Did I really do that? And you've got to pinch yourself, no?
No, that's true, especially where I'm in my life now because, unfortunately, my financial situation has improved considerably over the last decade or so, and through a lot of hard work and stuff, and through a lot of grace and what have you. And so,
have you ever been back there, Matthew? Sorry.
Yes,
that's what I wanted to ask you.
I did. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I went back when I was with Rat Dog. And I went back to the old club that I was playing, the 809 Club, and it was still there. And
wow.
the woman that ran the club, she was still there. It was a mafia club, But I didn't see them. But I just walked in, and it was
so
amazing.
What was the time period from when you was there the first time with Fats Domino at the side of you, thinking this guy can play, to going back and visiting? Was it many years? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that was a long time.
What, sort of 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
I mean, that must have been an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I was surprised to go back. I couldn't find my old friends from the Soul Majestic band that I'd met playing it down at the docks. When I met at the docks when I saved this guy's life, I couldn't. I'd love to be able to find those guys again. I tried. I could try Googling them, but that was so long ago. I don't. It's one of those bands that probably didn't stay together that long.
Yeah, but that's it's something that, like, if you wanted to get in contact with somebody, maybe you go down there, you speak with people, and one thing leads to another, and maybe one day it'll connect again. I mean, how good that would.
Well, that's the way we talked about this last time. Synchronicity. That's the way life works. I would love to.
And with social media now, it's getting easier.
Yeah, I'd love to hop on an airplane and fly back there. And
I'd hold your hand. I want to hold your hand. If you go back to New Orleans, I want to go. I've never been there in my life. I mean, it's
I was glad to be. I was glad to be your tour guide.
You can be my tour guide, Bobby. We've got to save some money. We're going to get on a plane. New Orleans.
I've been there once. It's pretty amazing.
Is it?
Yeah. There's no other place like it, and it's hot for me. It's hot here in Thailand. It was hotter down there, man.
Yeah, there's something.
It's sticky. Really, it's humid. It's really
you
hot.
just drip sweat when you're.
I remember one thing. It was quote me if I'm wrong. It was Clive Davis that broke Miles Davis, the trumpet player, wasn't it? Is that right?
Miles was on the scene way before Clive.
Yeah, I know he was, but he sort of revived him, didn't he? He said you've got to sort of like revive yourself, and he pulled him out into this. And same with
he signed him on Columbia Records, and then he did his whole Columbia thing.
And the Grateful Dead, he signed as well.
Oh, he worked with
Clive Davis signed them. Yeah, he signed the Grateful Dead as well
on Arista, I think it was.
Arista. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then they gave him back the original label later, or whatever. But New Orleans, I mean, that's my thing that really, really touches me, because you see all these films, you watch all these documentaries, and it takes you back in time. And I would have one of the things, if somebody said to me, "Could you have a wish? What would you like?" I would have liked to have gone back there after talking to you, walking down the street, being in these sweat clubs, and listening to all these guys playing that are just basically jamming away. What a sound.
Okay, after
sound.
COVID is over, we're going down, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just something that like it ticks a box in you, doesn't it? You know, it's the bucket list thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You set it
Bucket-
off. You're
that's a
to
good-
blame.
It's funky down there.
But that's a good way to put it on the bucket list. You know,
We're going to put it on the bucket list. That's all your fault, though. You do realise that.
Okay.
You set us in motion.
But that's all right. It's a good thing.
We're going to go there.
Okay.
What about we got Steve Parrish on the list? Where do we go into that one, Bobby?
Well, let's. Great manager, great road manager. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Guard dog.
He wasn't really a road manager. He was sort of Jerry's. I mean, he did a lot. He handled all the Grateful Dead equipment. Where they kept at the Dead place in San Rafael. But mostly he took care of Jerry, and he would sit outside. And I really like Steve Parrish. I told Weir the last time I communicated with him, I had a really nice dream about Steve Parrish, and he's very nice, a nice guy, and big, very imposing. And so nobody messed with Steve Parrish, and he would, he was basically amongst many other things, he was Jerry's bodyguard, and now he's working intimately with Bobby Weir and all his stuff.
Was this the same? Just quote me if I'm wrong. Was this the same time Bobby as Neil Cassidy? Was it the driver, the bus driver?
No, well, that was much earlier.
Much earlier, okay.
Yeah,
You see, that's my ignorance of,
okay.
of knowing everything.
You're from Britain.
That's how you learn, man.
We excuse you because you come from Britain.
Oh, hang on, take that. I just take that out of my side. Thank you very much.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
It's okay. It's too late now. You've said it and it's recorded.
Yeah, we are live. It's when you're live like this, you can't retract. It's all going out there.
Yeah.
So that
Did they ever play Great Britain, by the way?
Yes.
But where did you play in the Britain? Did you?
Well, I think I told you before. We played. I played with Huey Lewis in the News. Was it called the Marquee Club?
Yeah, the Marquee. Yeah,
It might have been the Marquee Club.
Marquee Club. That's correct. It is the Marquee Club.
Yeah, and then we played a bunch of concerts all throughout Britain, and I don't remember all the names of the places.
And I'm going to get my own back now. Were the British fans good to you?
They were wonderful. And while I was there,
I like this.
I got to talk about this. While I was there, I met just by coincidence. I met Eric Burton up in his village, up in Northumberland, and we got to talk. He just had one day off, and he went up to Northumberland, and we sat down and chatted on a whole evening. And he wrote that song, deep in the heart of this dirty old city from Northumberland.
Wow.
And so I was there in Northumberland with him talking about this.
So there you go. We are nice people, really.
You are. He's a wonderful gentleman. I liked him a lot.
I mean, this was what era was this? What sort of year? Can you remember?
I know.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I know exactly when that was. That was in 1978 because that's when we were touring with ELO and Richie Blackmore and all that kind of.
ELO, which was Jeff Beck, is it? Yeah, Jeff Beck.
Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne, yeah. And he did the Mr. Blue Sky and Out of the Blue. I always remember his album cover with the UFO on.
Oh,
One thing about ELO is they had the most advanced light show of any band in history up to that point. They had 3 or 4 semis just to handle their light shows.
Wow.
Yeah, it took them. It was on all the major TV stations whenever we'd pull into town. Because it was so spectacular.
Because I mean, like I said, their album. If I remember, Bobby they did an album and there was a spaceship on it, weren't there? If you remember it, and I think that's where the light shows comes in. Is that right?
They did wasn't their album kind of related to the Wizard of Oz on some level? Their first album had Dorothy's or the Good Witch of the West red shoes. Yeah, I remember that album cover.
But one of the things I liked about it, they all wore white tuxedos. White tuxedos.
Okay.
And I may have told you this, but the record company, we were signed with the ELO's label, Jet Records, and they said, you guys look too much like hippies, so they gave us a bunch of money. Said, go out and buy some rock and roll clothes. And but there was no way I was going to compete with the white tuxedos. And the cello player played a white cello.
I think I remember that. Yeah, now you've said the cello guy.
It's amazing.
Now you start to like, I remember these things. So did you go out and buy your rock and roll clothes?
Well, I made some feeble attempts at it because I don't feel really comfortable. I bought some, couple things.
We had a guy in here yesterday, Richard Rhodes. Okay, Richard used to do bands and travel and everything. Now, just to let you sort of into what he did, according to Richie, he was the guy that invented the miniskirt. The miniskirt.
Wow.
He was the guy that did the miniskirt. He was at the university. He was with some girls. They came up with this short skirt, and he took it in his arms, and he walked down Canterbury Street and everybody in London trying to sell it. And this guy took some off him, put them in the window. They sold out, and they ordered thousands. And then after that, he was making leather garments for rock and roll bands. You know, McCartney's and all the people on the world. He progressed from the miniskirt to the leather trousers to the waistcoat to the jackets, and this is what he did.
Interesting.
I found it. We found it really cool.
Fascinating.
We found it fascinating.
Really
Very
quick,
creative man.
As long as you're talking about rock and roll attire, I think it bears mentioning that the New Riders of the Purple Sage and a lot of bands like that, they wore these really fancy cowboy outfits made by a company called Nudie.
Huh.
And this guy was famous for making these. It was really expensive, like $2,000 or $3,000 for just one outfit.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the New Riders went in. And
Torbett used to wear one.
yeah,
This is the guys on the stage, yes?
This is the New Riders of the Purple Sage was the band that Dave Torbett was in, and who's Matthew's partner.
prior to Kingfish.
Yeah.
So they had to. How long ago was that though? A couple of $1,000. I mean, that's all.
That was in 1972, 73. You know,
That's like, what would that be? That's like 10 grand now, isn't it?
A lot of money.
Shitload of money. Yeah, that's right. That's a good way of putting it. I was trying to calculate it, and you put it into words. What about? I mean, today. I mean, we've looked at the concert. You showed me a concert on the video. I mean, wow, what a following still, eh? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the Grateful Dead are still going very strong, and everything's been shut down because of COVID. But once the regulations change and they can go on the road again, I'm sure they're going to go out again. And they're touring with John Mayer right now, Dead and Company, and it's been amazing.
There's
still so many fans out there that love the Grateful Dead.
But also, I think John Mayer is such an asset to that band because he just brings that youthful energy, and he's good looking and he's wholesome, and I just really love his energy in the band. And I think this Dead and Company.
It's like a new spark to the band.
Yeah,
can I say that?
I
Is
think
that right?
I think it's had a positive influence on all the guys in the band. So
Can I say what is Bobby? You've wrote down for me to say ramrod. What does that bring back? Ramrod. If I say those two words.
Well, anybody that was around the old days would remember. He was one of the roadies for the Grateful Dead. And he always took such wonderful care of me when I was sitting with the Dead, make sure I was comfortable. Because I was not ill. I was a bit ill at ease whenever I sat in with the Dead. I never had a chance to do a sound check or anything. But Ramrod always made me feel comfortable and at home, and so he was a great guy. Unfortunately, he passed away a long time ago. I don't know from what, but I don't think it was substance related. He just had maybe a heart problem or something.
So can we say he was like your carer? He took care of you.
He was one of the,
guy.
There was a couple of people. There was a number of people that were really wonderful, and I can't, he was one of them. Ramrod, yeah, for sure.
And what was the Ron Racro? Is it?
Ron Racco. Well, Ron Racco, I have to tell that story. Ron Racco was the head of Grateful Dead Records, and he had access to their bank account, and he went to the bank and took literally everything. And it was not just Grateful Dead's money; it was Kingfish money too. Ow. And he left the country, and they put a warrant out for him. But I ran into him, so again by accident. I don't believe in accidents, but I ran into him up at Squaw Valley, and he was shocked because he was in hiding, and he was out of the country for a long time. But here he was in Squaw Valley, up in the Sierras. And so he took me back to his flat, and because he felt guilty about everything, he gave me a rare print by this photographer, Curtis, that did rare old American Indian photos from the 1800s. So he gave me that, and which I have to this day. But I think Ron Racco eventually ended up doing time for some of his things he did.
It's amazing how what you've just said happens to a lot of people. I mean, you entrust these people. I mean, you as artists are on the stage, you're doing your thing, that's what you know. At the back of you, you've got your manager, you've got your accountant, you've got everything, and you rely on these people. And then suddenly you do all these tours and you come to pick up your money and it's not there. I mean, it's
I can't
so
even,
many times.
I can't begin to tell you how many times that's happened. It's like I said, fortunately, that's not happening so much anymore. But, I had, I have to mention, one of the best tours I ever had booked was with Albert King, who Stevie Ray Vaughan and everybody stole licks from. I had a whole tour booked with Albert King and myself and Weir and Kingfish. It was a great, great band. And it's of all the blues guys, it was one of the guys I really wanted to play with. But John Shear, who was the Bill Graham of the East Coast, he nixed it because he was in competition with this other guy that had booked it. So weren't able to do the tour. And it was all booked and everything. We had to cancel it.
Oh, let down.
Yeah.
Sad. Bobby?
Anything else, Matthew? You got a long list over there.
You just fire away. Go through your book, Matthew. We're fine. I'm enjoying this.
Let's see what I got.
It's good, isn't it? It's nice to be here. I wish I could see this on the other side of the camera.
Let's see.
I enjoy this myself. How are we doing, Bobby? You okay? Yeah,
we're good, man.
It's nice, and hopefully, we're answering your questions after if you're out there. And of course, you're fans of the Grateful Dead. If there's any questions you want to do, go over to our Facebook page, which of course is Talking Heads.
You know what would be interesting? I would love to at some point, if any of the Grateful Dead fans would want to call in and ask me questions personally, I'd be glad to answer questions.
That'd be awesome.
But we can do that another
So
time.
the easiest way for us to set that up is, number one, if you guys are out there, we've got the Facebook page, which is Talking Heads podcast, which is on Facebook, which we can put on the link today on the website and on the video. What you can do is next time Matthew's on, we will set up a live line, and what they can do is they can call in and we can answer that, and then we can put them on air after. That's pretty, as we speak, because there's always a delay.
Oh, that's okay.
In the delay because of what people do and say. The 5-second delay is, it's a very important thing in a live broadcast. But no, I mean, if they've got any questions or they want to call in, we can set that up.
Because there's a lot of people that have varying opinions, and they're based on rumors rather than fact.
Well, that's
and I'd like to set the record straight on things. Like some the Mickey Hart incidents, and there was several. There was another one on the first Further Festival where it was the second gig of the tour, and we had a jam. It was a lot of bands on the bill. It was Jorma Kalkinen from Hot Tuna, Rat Dog, a bunch of different. One of the key people was, it doesn't matter. Who's the tabla player for? Zakir Hussein, who's just the sweetest gentleman and all. And
he was my neighbor in San Anselmo. I live right next door to Zakir and Tony.
You? Yeah. Oh, wow, what a privilege.
Amazing neighbor, and his wife was an amazing dancer, and she actually, my girlfriend at the time, used to dance with Tony and do katak dancing together.
Wow.
But Zakir would be out there mowing the lawn sometimes, and he was my neighbor.
What a nice neighbor to have.
Was it a player, Bobby?
Zakir's one of the most happening tabla players in the world.
And
his father, Alaraka, was,
he's a superstar in India. He walks down the street. It would be like Paul McCartney or Prince or somebody walking down the street in America. I mean, he's like swamped with people. He's a superstar in his own country. But anyway, what happened on that tour, the second gig, Mickey Hart came up with this huge cowbell and started beating it in my ear. And to this day, and I don't know what prompted it, because it was a really nice jam. We had a jam at the end. But I'm still, my right ear, I'm still get earaches. I'm kind of deaf in that ear. So that was unfortunate.
It's a bit dangerous to put something like that against your ear and whacking it forward.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I never really understand what caused that incident. And, and after that,
What about? Can I just ask a question because I'm trying to find out all? I mean, I'm sure you've got.
Matthew, you're setting the record straight. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what happened.
This is therapy, man.
Yeah. It's
Let
very
it all
good.
out.
Yeah.
Let it all out. Well, how did you deal with in those days the fan base themselves? I mean, in those days, did they storm hotels? Did they climb over walls? Did they try and get in houses? Did they do all this then?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, it's just it's intriguing. I'm trying to lead you down roads here.
I never. Yeah, that's a good road. I was never stalked by any fans myself.
Yes, you were.
Well, okay, I make it
Matthew,
a little
come
bit,
on.
but not. But I did see when I was living with Bobby. I mean, there was some fans that used to try to crawl over his fence and get into his house. And as you probably know, George Harrison had a fan sneak into his house and stabbed him with a knife.
I do.
And so you get some really crazy ones. I don't know who this woman was that was stalking Bobby, but he had to put a restraining order out on her, and so you get some crazy people out there.
But you never stalked.
Not that I'm aware of.
Are you disappointed?
No, never know. You know, fame is greatly. I'm actually happy that I'm not like a famous musician. When I walk down the street,
we said this the other day. Sorry to butt in there. We said this the other day, didn't we, Bobby? We was talking about this, and we said the other day if we had the choice, and hopefully after I've just listened to what you've just said, that we would never like to get to the state of being famous where you couldn't walk down the street. I could not cope with that.
No, and you know, rightly so. I don't think I told the story last time, but I was with Bobby Weir in New York when they were doing that. What's that big thing they did with Dylan, and they made a film out of it.
The Last Waltz.
I think it was The Last Waltz. And I don't know how I happened to be with Bobby. He wasn't playing there, but Bobby and I went to the event, and Bobby wore a disguise, a beard, and some sunglasses and everything, and just so he wouldn't, because in the East Coast of America, he would get mobbed.
Wow,
because they're much more fanatical out on the East Coast. So
fanatical and dangerous.
They can be.
They can be dangerous.
On the East Coast, they're very aggressive. Well, you know, you're from New York.
You got a problem with that, man? I'm from New York.
Hang on a minute. You've just
who are you talking to, man?
Yeah, who are you
Come
talking
on.
to, man? You just
I have some friends, man.
you just nailed the English guy, and now you've gone over to New York.
Yeah,
Tony Soprano's my best friend.
Oh yeah,
Come
and
on.
Luigi and Jerry the Crusher too. Yeah, I know those guys. Okay.
I was just surprised. I mean, I just wanted to know how, you know, like you said, Bobby, I mean, how he put on his disguise, and McCartney did that once, and I remember him saying that there was a bunch of fans outside, and he put on a disguise, and he went round 3 houses and come out the back, and he come down this other guy's alley to go to the shops, and this woman, as he come out the gate, and all this disguise went, "You're right, Paul," which I found very amazing, but I find very, very scary. Because there is a lot of fanatics out there, and it's you know, okay, there is a point where it becomes overkill and dangerous, as we know from history.
Well, you know, there's I just actually just purchased yesterday. I went to the used video shop and bought this video that Clint Eastwood put out called "Play Misty for Me," which is about a fanatical fan that stalks him, and I don't know exactly what happened because I haven't watched it for years. But anyway, so that's another example. But in my personal experience, I saw it a lot with, not just once, but several times with Bobby. So
I used to see, when I lived in Marin County, I used to see the Starship. I used to see Grace Slick and her friends that were kind of connected with the Jefferson Starship wearing a lot of costumes and masks. Where they go to the Sleeping Lady, and they wouldn't want anyone to know who they were, but we kind of knew who they were, so they would do it quite often. Oh, that's Grace.
Yeah.
And Grace Slick would do that a lot. She'd, no one wants to get bothered, man.
yeah, exactly.
They asked George Harrison if he could be a Beatle again, would he do it? And he said, no way.
No, he said,
No, forget about it.
Yeah,
So he
but
said no.
George was, he was that way. He was a very private person.
Yeah.
Much more so than.
Well, we spoke about it before he went to India, didn't he? I mean, if you remember, he went over to India and spent some time over there. So he was getting to find his self, as he said.
Well, yeah, and there's a nice.
That's another chapter for you, Matthew, because you go to India a lot.
I'm going to just say one little quote from that I picked up in India, that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience here on this earth in these bodies. So that's one way of looking at life.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Me too.
Wouldn't you?
I would.
Yeah. It's
Time and place.
It was somebody mentioned that. I picked it up along the way.
What I want to pick up, what I want to do is next time when you come in, is to talk about you yourself and how you change your lifestyle and what you do, and the things we spoke about.
Why you look so good, man?
Yeah,
what's your secret?
We sort of like hit on it last time, and if you remember, we wanted to sort of find out, how you made that transition of like trying to clean your shit up, basically.
Well, it's really interesting and it's really empowering because just in the last, it was about a year ago. I was in a wheelchair, and I was really not in the best shape. So I really changed my lifestyle around, and now I walk down the street and people say, "Gosh, we hardly recognize you. You look 15 years younger." I mean, I haven't dyed my hair. I don't have. I've got a few gray hairs.
You haven't got any staple marks at the back, or
no, nothing. So just a lot of good food.
But I mean,
you swim every day, yeah?
I swim and
you don't eat animals. You're a vegetarian.
Vegetarian for 50 years, and I exercise a lot more than I used to. And that's one of the things that Bobby Weir's been really encouraging about, because he really is athletic, and I was very athletic when I was young, but then I kind of let it slag for a while. But now I do it every day, and that's really changed my life a lot.
Well, you hurt your neck. That's why you kind of let it slide for a while, because you had a rugby injury, didn't you?
Well, rugby, and I got karate kicked and had a motorcycle accident and fell off a horse and all kinds of stuff.
All in the neck?
All in the neck.
Didn't you learn the first time?
Well, I learned, but what can you do,
Not again. How many times is that? Not again, and not again. Oh, yeah.
And that's what I said the last time I said, anything but the neck, to go for another part of the anatomy.
Oh, man.
What stage, can I ask you this, and you can answer it yes or no, it's as simple as this. At what stage of your life, going from what you did and what was on and everything like that, at what stage in your life did you say, enough's enough, that's it, I've got to do something different?
Well, I talked about that.
Your last Rat Dog tour.
The last Rat Dog tour, and it was twofold. And I didn't really get a chance to say what I wanted to say. There was two things happening. I'd been diagnosed with hepatitis C, which at that time, was kind of a death sentence because they didn't have a cure for it then. And then also, I was noticing that after each gig, I'd feel faint, and it was something about all the all the high voltage had such an effect on me. I'd come off stage and I just wanted to go to someplace quiet and just get away from all the, there was parties and stuff going on. I just wanted to go to my hotel room or my bunk in the bus because it was so intense, and it was tearing me apart physically and psychologically and spiritually. So I just said, and then finally I just said, I've had enough. And
it's a little bit of a mirror situation to what's happening today out there when you say the electricity and the current was interfering with you, which it does.
Big time.
It does. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It does. It's a proven fact that people that live in houses that are next to electric pylons, it's a fact that there's more sickness there.
But
and they're installing 5G now, so that's going to amp up even more.
Yeah, and then all the time people spend on their computers and their cell phones. The cell phone is a whole other issue.
Absolutely. But on the stage, let's put it this way: when you take a microwave apart, it's wires and it's magnets and there's all that. True, Bobby? Yep. And what's in the stage? There's amplifiers and what's in there? Magnets and everything. So basically, you're in a big microwave on the stage, and the more they put on there, the more current's going through, and the more current there is. It can affect you. It doesn't matter what people say. I know that it affects you.
Yeah,
and I can see where you're coming from.
And there's things that you can buy that help to protect your body, and there's just different things on the market. I don't know which ones are the most effective, but there are things you can do to protect yourself to some extent.
But at that stage when you felt really bad, that's when you decided to sort of say, enough's enough.
And it was I quit at a high point because we just had a really good tour. Wow. And so I came off it. I jumped off at the right. It's like a football player quitting. Be right at
top of his game.
Yeah, top of his game. and I had some really good gigs, and then I quit. So it was a good time, and it would really be interesting because what Bobby and Jay Lane and the new bass player are doing, I would my playing is so much better now, both my guitar playing and my hand drumming and everything. It would be really fun to play with those guys now.
Can I ask you something?
I'm sure you got an open ticket to jamming with those guys again. Yeah.
Yeah, great. But the thing is, I don't know, flying over there, coming back to Thailand, but they'll get that sorted out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We got to invite him over.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Well, he's got an open invitation.
One question I'd like to ask you, Matthew, and you can answer, not answer, it's up to you. What's your biggest regret?
Oh, that's, my biggest regret. My biggest regret, I think, was the fact that I didn't really listen to that voice inside me that told me, because I knew inherently that all the substance stuff was not what I was about. Because I told you before, I was gravitating towards all the natural foods and had the first natural food restaurant around. So, and so that was, if I have to say that, my biggest regret was getting involved in all the substances, and I'm just so fortunate that I'm still here. And
I'm talking about it.
And talking about it. And, it's amazing because I just got somebody from the Anthroposophical Society talking about how amazing the human body is. And, in spite of, the abuse that all of us have been through, you can heal yourself.
Repairing, yeah.
It's amazing what you can do, by doing the right things. I do all kinds of things like acupuncture, diet, exercise. That changes everything. And you can heal yourself. So,
what's your biggest achievement?
Well, I'm glad you asked that too, because I didn't talk about this. One of the things I'm the most that really made a big difference in my life as an achievement was when I saved people's lives, literally. And there's nothing that can rival that kind of feeling when you actually save somebody from dying, and like this one guy, I saved him drowning in the ocean in Mexico, and he was dead. He was clinically dead. And
you did mouth to mouth on him, or?
Well, he was under the water, and I swam down and pulled him up. It was this big black guy, and I don't know if I talked about this last time.
No, please do.
But anyway, we got him back onto this boat. It was down in Puerto Vallarta on a secluded beach, and he was basically dead. There was no life pulsing. So I said, "You're not going to die," and so
beat him.
I beat him, and finally I gave him CPR and everything, which I didn't know very well. But it turns out I did all the right things. But finally, he spit out all the water, came back to life, and he described everything in detail. He was out of his body watching the whole thing. So
wow.
And I think I discussed this, on the last talk about.
I think you touched on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more in depth today. Ever meet him again after?
No, and that's a big regret I have, because I kind of went into shock, because I really had to go, use everything I had, so much adrenaline to save his life, and then when the whole thing was over, I just jumped overboard and swam back to shore. And my wife at the time.
Can you remember his name?
No, I just know all I know is he was a well-known computer programmer from San Diego, big black guy. And to this day, I'm sure he remembers me.
Yeah,
and I remember him. It would have been fantastic to have.
Yeah, just to connect, just to make that one connection is, it's very special, and I'm sure that the guy would absolutely love to get in contact with you if he could, and appreciate what you did for him.
Yeah, and likewise.
But
me too.
but I mean, two good things though. I mean, your biggest regret, and for being honest, is amazing, and also your biggest achievement that you put down to that after everything you've done is also amazing. Don't you think so, Bobby?
I agree. I agree. It's touching. What a story, man.
Yeah. It changed my life. Just having done that, I'll never forget it. I mean, there's other things that are.
Yeah, sure.
But that's one of the ones top of the list.
Yeah, I've saved, I think, 3 people in the ocean, and when you go through that experience, you're different. Something changes. Yeah. Life is real fragile, man. We could be here in a second, gone in the next second, man.
Well,
it happens so quickly.
I was the one, Matthew, that was on the other side of it. I was the one being saved.
Wow.
Oh, when you hit
Brum, brum, brum.
motorcycle? What?
Yeah. I was helped. I was helped.
Yeah, that happened to me in Pattaya too.
No, not in Padua. This is a long time ago. I mean, actually, one of the things that sticks out a little bit in my mind is we was in Norway, and a friend of mine was driving a Mercedes, and we was driving at about 120 kilometers, and I got tired, and I said I need to sit down and get out of the way because I'm tired, and he took over, and lo and behold, for me, I put my seat down, and about 30 minutes after that, he hit a mountain head on at 120.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Yeah.
Falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Matthew, you have a similar story, huh?
If I wouldn't have been laying down in that seat, I
What
would.
story? Remind me.
What weren't you on the road with Kingfish and your van, your truck crashed?
Yeah, but I wasn't in the truck. That was at the end of another grueling tour, and that was with Steve Kimmock and Bobby Vega and one of my closest friends, David Merrill, and I was again road managing and playing. It was a grueling tour. It was the last day again of the tour. We were playing a small beach town in Southern California, and they were getting ready to, and everyone was exhausted, and so they wanted to drive back that night. I said, "No, please." I was literally begging. So Kimmock and Bobby Vega decided they were going to go, and I couldn't stop them. But my friend David Merrill wanted to go with his keyboards, and he didn't want to leave them with him. And I said, and I was literally begging him. But anyway, he went, and they got in an unfortunate accident on Highway 5, and my good buddy David Merrill died tragically, and it's nobody's fault really, other than the fact that Highway 5 is a long one-way.
The tiredness factor comes into it. I mean, like you said, guys, you should have just laid down and gone to sleep and gone the next morning.
But they were exhausted, so that's what happened.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I hope I didn't. If I ruffled anybody's feathers, my intention was. I just want everybody to know I'm.
You're being yourself. You're being honest, Matthew, and that's it.
I'm being honest, but I want everybody to know that there's no hard feelings towards anybody. I know these guys are just, we all go through stuff, and
there's that big thing in life called rumors, whispers.
We're spirits having a human experience.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good one.
We are. I'm being drawn over to your side because I find it more and more intriguing. As you talk, I could listen to you all day. I love your stories. I love your honesty, and I love the way
I love your honesty too.
Yeah, here really.
but I still go back to New Orleans. It just bugs me for some reason.
We got to do that.
Yeah, I just find that so intriguing. That time I just find so intriguing, and it's where I come from and what I grew up with and different things. The black artists at that time, I really liked, and when you say I was in the club and Fats Domino was at the side of me playing this track and blah, I just find that mind blowing.
Well, and also the fact that I had the privilege to have played with the Neville Brothers, and they're one of the all-time great bands. From that was. I mean, I just was like sitting in with them. But that was.
It doesn't matter though, does it, Matthew? I mean, It doesn't matter if you're playing with them or you were just sitting in, or you was in the audience and they called you up, or you was passing by, or you were getting a drink at the bar. The fact is that you were there. The fact is that you played with them. With these people, and you smelt them, you seen it, you tasted it, and that's the thing that I never have had the privilege of doing, and that's what I admire.
Well, I'm so fortunate because I've had the good fortune to have played with just about every musician that I've admired in my lifetime.
Does that include me?
That includes you, Bobby. That includes. I'm
getting my triangle out next week. Get ready, Matthew.
Yeah, well, why not? We have these jam sessions there. Bobby showed up last Sunday.
He did. Yeah, it
was really fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Where's that at? That's at the pit, isn't it?
The Sugar Hut.
Sugar Hut.
Yeah.
Sugar Hut. And when is that? When does that
Sundays
take place?
at 2:00.
It's a nice.
And anybody can go?
Anybody can go. It's a very nice ambiance because it's old Thai, and they dressed in the old Thai attire, and so
Nice
beautiful.
place, Sugar Hut. Yeah,
beautiful
nice
little club.
Yeah.
Yeah, good vibes.
Yeah.
We'll have to come down there and do a little bit of a story on that for Paddy Wallen, and probably bring the cameras down there.
Absolutely.
And have a go. You're clicking your fingers. Are you remembering something?
No, I when I get I just sometimes like to click my fingers. It's kind of
Right.
Well, we're all going to be clicking our fingers now because Matthew does that. You know that. It's been great to have you in the studio again.
Yeah, thank you.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm sure that next time we're going to go on a different tour, and we're going to talk about lots of different things. Also, the health side of it, which we wish we touched on today. But I want to talk a little bit more about that.
And then also, I'd like to address some, as we talked about, some life issues, and not just talk about me, but talk about stuff that's going on around, not just around here and around the world, and just things that we all can
absolutely,
share.
yeah.
We have a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge here in this room. We all have interesting stories.
Well, you speak for you two. Don't speak about me. I'm not knowledgeable. I'm just you
everybody's story is amazing.
I had to write my own Wikipedia.
And Matthew, we got to drop into your philanthropic work, which is why you're in Thailand.
That's been my main focus.
Yeah. It's okay. All right. Let's make it a date next week, of course. Bobby, you can get all the little bits down for us, and we can go on another tour with Matthew Kelly, because that's going to be a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for today, and we'll join you same place.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, same place.
Thank you,
same
Matthew.
time next week. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Well done.
Talking Heads podcast live from Pattaya, Thailand, with your host Dave D. Join us weekdays. Check out all the latest updates on talkingheads-podcast.com.